afternoon, everybody. My name is Michael. Let's take a look at what we've got to work with today. Back to the futuretrading.com. We've been in business for going on 17 years now. We have thousands of customers all over the world. And the premise of what we do, as ridiculous and ludicrous as it sounds, is that we have developed software which purports to tell us hours, days, weeks, months in advance when a potential move is coming in every market on the face of the planet, whether that's cryptocurrency, futures, stocks, equities, commodities, the Forex market. The whole chazarai is available to us for analysis. And the premise of what we do is relatively simple, and there are two tools that we're working with to help customers. One is Tachyon Warp, which is exclusively for NinjaTrader, that allows us to look into the future, see predictive signals coming in terms of direction and duration. For example, in this photo on the website, the program was warning the user to look for a move up from 12 o'clock until 8 a.m. the following morning. And we'll come back here and pull that off. And today we're looking at several futures markets. Stand by 1 second, Valentine. I will try to do that. I'm not on a computer right now that has the trading view variant on top of it. And it's wanting me to, yeah, I can't do it with you today. It's wanting me to validate my subscription status out of the blue, and it's 14 pages of things that I've already filled out. So I'm sorry, we'll just have to work with the NinjaTrader stuff for today, which is going to have the same data as the other two things. And hopefully you're impressed enough with what I'm about to show you where it won't matter what platform we're looking at it on. Last week when we got together, we were looking at the gold futures market, and we've been publishing those movements on the daily time frame now for quite some time. And the very last signal that we had came in on February 6th. And the prior sell signal before that we were waiting for was coming in on January 28th. And the buy signal before that was on December 31st. Now, what's happening here right now is concerning if you're still bullish on gold. The closing price of the signal candle here from February 26th is right around the 49.77 mark. In fact, the absolute close of that was the 49.79, so basically 49.80. And we're below that line right now. And if you look back historically at the other levels when the signals came in, you'll see that many days ahead, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, with the exception of this signal here, we were well above that price and moving higher. So if you're trading gold futures and you have a longer term perspective, I would be cautious until we were back above that 49.89 level, where things would resume and continue upwards until February 22nd. So we'll keep an eye on that, but I wanted you to see how we can kind of see those signals coming in the future and have a feel for and understanding for what we're waiting for next. Let's come over and take a look at the stuff that I really wanted you to see today. We have the E-mini S&P 500 and the 1 minute NASDAQ chart. One of the things that we do to kind of prove that this works at all is publish the signal times and directions in advance. So I don't expect you to believe the software does what I say it does just on my word. And I'm going to paste a link into the GoToWebinar box right here in the chat box. Where is it? There we go. Can you guys tell me if this link comes through in your chat box? Yeah, Valentine, there's no difference between what markets this works on or doesn't work on. I regret that. I don't have it set up here. I can follow up with you afterwards, and I'm happy to. This is not your first time here in the webinar, too, if I remember correctly. Okay, so what this purports to do is if we come and we look for example, Thursday, which is today, on the 5-minute E-mini S&P chart, you'll see that there is a forecast. It was added 4 days ago. 8 people have looked at it. And in essence, what it's been doing since Monday, when it was published, was warning us about movements that are likely to occur in the future. Now, these movements change week to week, and there's new data for next Thursday right now that we can look at. But all the signals on the top of the chart were warning us of down moves. All of the signals on the bottom of the chart were warning us about up moves. And so we sort of had a map for the day based on the historical behavior patterns of the institutions who drive these movements. And so if we take a look real here, I just want you to see that I'm not making stuff up. This was published 4 days ago. The signals haven't changed since then. In fact, there's a timestamp that tells us when every pixel of this chart was generated and uploaded. And I'm just going to circle here where it says 9:05. And Valentine, can you see where it says 9:05 up here in the left corner? Yeah. Okay. So all of these times that were published 4 days ago, up and down, are on my screen right now. Would everybody concede that that's factually the case? Cool. So let me get rid of my garbage drawings on the screen here. And now let's take a look at what the markets actually did today and how I would have traded them. And then we'll go back and look at the NASDAQ that we did trade this morning, and I'll show you that the setups that we took based off of those 4-day-old forecasts. On the website, there are 2 setups that I teach, I've taught for the last nearly 20 years now, and I want to go over them with you and how we would have applied them to today's market. Because most of the time, people are over trading. They're getting out way too early, and they're using far too big of a stop. And so the setups that I use are called signals with trend, and then crossovers. And then I have another setup that we mentioned on that webpage called a puncture. And I'm going to go over what each of those things mean and what we would have been looking for today. And hopefully some of this will help you guys when you're placing your trades in the future with this software. This is a 120 period EMA per that training video. And here we go. I look for signals in the direction of the trend. And in this case, let me get my arrow tool. How I define trend with a 120 EMA is going down, I'm looking for shorts. And when the EMA is going up, I'm looking for longs. So I color everything blue and white because historically, I'm not a big fan of red and green. And red and green historically are psychological triggers for me. Green means go, red means stop or danger. And so I dilute everything down to a neutral color. So Valentine, if you can see here from 4 days ago, what has the program been warning us about as a likely occurrence between 9:05 on Thursday and 11:10 Eastern on Thursday? Remember, this was a 4-day-old signal. Yeah, so down, right? So what I'm looking for is a signal that tells me it's a trend entry. So 9:05 is above the moving average. They're going to run the stops right here, and then that candle closes below the moving average, and in my training video, I call this a crossover setup. This is called a crossover setup because it's closing below the moving average. Right there, that candle closes below the moving average. So this gives me permission to start to act on my selling signals. Bill wrote, I took the short on the ES this morning and I stayed with it for an hour and a half. Closed out at that point, worked perfectly. Great job, Bill. Pretty cool stuff, huh? It's kind of neat when you get the software and then you start to see for yourself on your own computer and your own accounts the thing actually working. So the setup for a crossover trade is to say, hey, when it happens, I'm going to enter on the close of that candle. So that's a trend entry now. I'm below this moving average. It's blue, blue, blue. And in the training video, the rule is to stop when we get to where? The anticipated buying pressure signal. So the program was warning us 4 days ago, look, there's a behavior pattern lately across thousands of historical bars that you don't remember that lasts usually from 9:05 to 11:10. And so if we go short and we analyze our risk and we say, okay, I'm going to put my stop right above that candle and we're going to hold it to when we expect the buying to start again. I don't know if you're paying attention. That's a $71 move. It's about $3,500 in hypothetical, not actual account money. Based on a signal I've been publishing since Monday and a system I've been teaching since nearly 20 years ago. Now, how much intuition did I have to have? None. How many chances to overtrade in that span of time did I have? None. In fact, there was this ability to know, hey, things shouldn't get squirrely until 11:10 at the earliest, because that's when the program warns me historically that buying should begin. Move was so powerful this morning that they slid down 3 extra bars. Now, take a look here. Can everyone see the next signal is at 12:45? And Bill, that was the signal in the direction of the trend, right? If you went in after that, still, same setup. Now, here's where my stop goes. I'm going to enter on the close of the candle, 12:45 to 1:30. My stop goes 1.5 ATR values away per the instructions in the setup on the web page, which basically means it's the average size of a 5-minute bar right now, plus 50% more. And so that's what these dotted lines represent. They're stops. And so if I enter at 12:45 and I exit at 1:30, Valentine, look, that's the low of the morning at that point, right? That's the low of the morning. How did we know that? Well, it's not magic, it's just paying attention. And so here, with that other very simple setup, we're inside the window where things usually happen lately. And that's another $22 move, hypothetically speaking, or about $1,000 per contract. The next signal is at 2:20. You enter, and womp womp, you give back 2 ticks. It does go down in your direction. Initially, you had a maximum favorable excursion of $500. I don't know if you would let that turn into a loss, but trading the system in the most basic skeleton of the description that I've given everybody for the rules, the most basic rules I could think of, you lose 2 ticks. Okay. If you're still trading at the end of the day, Valentine, look, you entered here, you went down another $5 before the market closed at 4 o'clock. Okay. Is everyone? Yeah, sure. So Valentine said something very justified. He said, I wouldn't trade anymore. What I'm doing here You have to understand, most people, they don't believe this is real. Arr. They don't believe this is real. And so the way for me to overcome the cynicism, the skepticism, the doubt is to put all of these times and directions in the future. And then I have to give people a trading setup so that when we get to these times, 4 days later, Valentine, I show them what the entries were supposed to be. Does that make sense? And then I ask them to judge, did it work or did it stink? I have to go through these motions as an exercise to overcome the tremendous skepticism and guilt that people have because they don't believe this. They've been told by thousands of other vendors, you just need one candle a day, you just need a fair value gap, you just need a candle pattern, you just need this or that. And we find out that's a lie because the game is rigged, as you can see here today. I hope you can. So that's the first setup, the setup with trend, the signal with trend. The next one's called a puncture. And the puncture is it's a little stranger. A puncture, a good way to think of a puncture, at least I've thought of it this way, is a failure with trend. A puncture is a failure with trend. Okay, so let me clear out some desktop space. The burden of proof is squarely on my shoulders. I get that. Okay, now, if I want to sell, the one thing I don't want in my path are buyers. I don't want them around. I don't want buyers in my way. So when I get to 11:10, I'm nervous and hesitant about trading short, right? This whole window of time historically is filled with buying. Enough times in the past where 11:10 gets flagged. So what I've done and I'll show you a setup we took this morning. It was great. At 11:10, I say, listen, this is my stop line. And the way I think of that stop line, Bill, is if I touch it, the buying I was expecting has failed. Nobody from JP Morgan, nobody from Deutsche Bank, nobody from Credit Suisse, nobody from Bank of America, nobody that was buying over and over and over again enough times to trigger that behavior pattern warning showed up. And so I would, if I was buying at 11:10, I would consider that a failure and that they didn't do it. Well, what if I go short instead at the stop line at a brand new low? What if I go short there when it punctures the line? You see what I'm doing? It's like waiting for a date at the restaurant and you tell yourself, if they're not here in a half an hour, I've been stood up. And there's a beautiful person at the bar that's looking at you and you're waiting for your date to come at 8 o'clock. And then 8:15 comes and the person's still looking at you on the bar. And then 8:20 comes and you tell yourself, if it gets to 8:30 and my date's not here, this blind date, she's not showing up, and I'm going to go talk to that nice substitute teacher lady sitting next to the Cosmopolitan. My date with the first woman is over. I'm going to seek another opportunity. She's not coming. That's actually a great, I'm going to use that analogy next week too, I think. I was convincing myself there for a second. So when we get to a puncture, I put my stop above the candle that drives down through that white stop line. And now I hold it until when? The next sell time. Now, the sad part about this setup, in hindsight's 50-20-20, right? It goes down $1,000 total before finishing a whopping for the exercise anyway, $4 in my favor. And it doesn't hit the stop. My stop, as you know, is above that candle. There's another puncture at 3 o'clock. I'm waiting for my date. I'm waiting for my date. I hope that she is pretty. I hope that she is great. It's 8:30. I'm going home. And right there, Valentine, it punctures the stop line. My entry is the puncture point just below. My stop is where? Right here. How long am I going to hold it, Bill? And then 3:55, I'm getting out. The question is always asked, could you stay in? Sure. But for the purpose of this simple exercise to prove to people that this is very real, no. We enter and re-exit to see if this program had any legs to stand on based on what? A 4-day-old guess and a trading system so simple, a labradoodle could learn it. Maybe not a labradoodle. One of those German dogs. So we use the setup that we've been teaching for two decades and the timing signals that we put out 4 days ago in the market that everybody trades and hates, the E-mini S&P. And it's a total of 71, 75, 97, 102, 100, and let's call it $120 or $5,000, $6,000 theoretical per contract. Now, it wasn't just today that this happened. We gave out 2 days of forecasts. You want to see what the Times did yesterday? Valentine, these were the signals that we published yesterday. Let's go back and verify that so you don't believe me. You see for yourself. Wednesday, ES 5-minute. Show me 950. Woo, hoo, 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 hoo. 845, 845, 950, 950, 11 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 7:15, 7:15, 8:35, 8:35. Now, I didn't create these signals with my AR sphincter, my AI Kumasiyama. I didn't use some secret black sauce proprietary Battlestar Galactica coding. This sequence, this program, this approach is almost 20 years old before AI was cool. We are, though, using something called data mining. Data mining is looking in the past for patterns. If we see that there's something that's happening over and over again, there's a pretty good estimation that it's going to do that thing again. Data mining. We go back into the historical data and we ask the question, are there any times when Tesla or Bitcoin or Apple or any of these markets are going up or down at the same time? And then when that happens, we can publish that data 4 days before we get there and prove to ourselves, you know, do we need to throw in the towel or is this still working? And there you go. There you go. Any questions about this so far? There's a new setup that I teach in my class that we trade called an ACT, an aggressive counter trend trade, ACT, aggressive counter trend trade. And what I teach people is essentially this. Yeah, that link that I put into the chat box, Valentine, that's been public for 20 years. Did you see it? I can paste it back in there again. So the aggressive counter trend trade says, hey, what about signals? And we'll do this for the ones today too. Well, see that 950 signal, Bill? What I've discovered is about 25 or 30% of the time, it actually becomes the pivot. And so what I teach people is, hey, we're still going to look at the close of that candle right here. But instead of using this stop, Victor, we're going to put our stop just above the signal candle or any structure to the left of us that's less than the trend stop. If there's structure to the left of us that's less than the trend stop, we're going to reference that. So, for example, yesterday, the signal at 8:35, we put our stop right above this candle because there's nothing over here to reference. It's vacuum of space. And so you could have been short yesterday from 8:35 until 8:45. And your aggressive counter trend trade would have made 6 points with 2 points of risk. So a 3-to-1 RR, right? Now at 9:50, the trend stop is up here, but there's structure to the left right there. You could use that, or if you're uncomfortable, you could have used the candle here. I have to show it the way I teach it, so we would have used structure. And now look at the entry. I can take advantage of all of this. It's a $20 move now that I couldn't count. The 8:45 would have been a signal with trend. So a $6 move, a $6 move, a $20 move. And now what does this become, Bill? A crossover trade. And so now for the crossover trade, my stop goes above the crossover candle and I hold it until when? The 11 o'clock signal. Because this is a silly example that I use, I don't know that any of you would have given back $45 worth of immediate gains, $2,000 per contract, but it ends up $13 in our favor. Now at 11 o'clock, the structure is below the trend line, the trend stop. So I have to put my stop if I go long at 11 o'clock just underneath that signal. And of course it fails. This was not the low. It was about one candle off, in fact. The move started at 10:55, not 11 o'clock. Close, but no banana. So we give back $3. 12.25 is a trend trade. 12.25 is a trend trade. I have to use the trend stop. It closes above the moving average, I'm out. Then it crosses back below the moving average, I'm back in again. $4 back. 145, there is a stop that is better than the trend stop. And so now I'm in from 145 until when? 310. Aggressive counter trend trade. There's another $5. And now my 310 signal until the close is $8. So if you add the aggressive counter trend setup to this, there are more opportunities with smaller risk. You guys can add up those totals and see for yourself if this was a worthwhile endeavor or not. But today, check it out. If we did that today, I'm just going to go through it with you really quick. Long at the close of that candle, minus $2. Long at the close of the 130 candle, $21. Long at the close of the 3 o'clock candle, minus 7. So we took out 9, but we put 12 more back in plus. So the aggressive counter trend trade can really pan out about a quarter to a third of the time, and is particularly useful if you can keep your risk tight. Okay. Yeah. So Darian, we're talking about time here. Renko bars are timeless entities, right? Completely timeless entities. So most people use Renko bars because they don't know this is the way the markets actually work. Let's take a look at the hardest market to have timed, and I want to show you this before I show you the morning. These are the signals that were published for the NASDAQ today, and they are the farthest signals away from the forecast. They are the farthest signals away from the forecast. So here, 316, 333, 316, 333. So Adrian, take a look. Darian, how random was the NQ afternoon session based on 4-day-old signals on the most volatile tech-laden stock that exists? Meaning, did it go down at 256? Did it go up at 301? No. Did it go down at 316? Did it go up at 333? Did it go down at 341? Did it go up at 353? Yes. Down at 4 o'clock? Nah. Did it go up at 406? Yes. How is that possible? If this is reacting to AI fears, reacting to blah, 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 because of yada, yada, yada. And this thing is like, look, here were all the signals for today's NQ 4 days before the market bell ever rang. And I just went through what happened with you guys for this section of it, which is the farthest from the prediction. Look at it with the morning session with me. We traded it today, and it was fun. I had fun today, just sort of following behind these knuckleheads' footsteps. I'm going to go through it fast with you. Ready? Signal with trend, crosses over the moving average, give it back. Crossover, give it back. Puncture, exit, plus 43. Signal with trend, exit, plus 67. Signal with trend, net loss, minus 53. Signal with trend, gain, plus 45. Puncture, plus 40. Signal with trend, 86. Puncture, 99. Not counting aggressive counter trend trades. Yeah. And so what you start to see, and what gets really upsetting for me, is it didn't just happen. This was the European Asia, this was the Asian market before today. And Darian, they're following a plan. I don't know if it's the algorithms or what, but if you just wait for these times, and this is happening while you're watching Netflix and eating dinner, there are big moves that are happening. Right? There's yesterday's NQ, punctures and signals with trend. Okay. Now, there's the signals from the Dow for this afternoon. A lot of talk about the Dow breaking records, 50,000. If we look at the signals that we published for the 3-minute chart for the Dow, punctures and signals with trend. It's not just today. There's this evening, and there's yesterday. So markets are definitely predictable, in my opinion. Trying to think if there's anything else. Any other markets you guys want to look at while I'm still here? Can I look at the forecast for Tesla? You want to learn something cool about Tesla, Valentine? That's going to sound very crazy when I tell you. Yeah, we can look at gold. I'll teach you something about Tesla, and you will probably lose all respect for me right after I show it to you. We'll go to 1 minute on the gold because that's the smallest time frame I feel comfortable looking at. Yeah, I'll show you. Just promise not to call me a wackadoo. Darian, can you see the signals for gold today? Bananas, right? Okay, now I'm going to close these charts out. How many people know what I'm going to show these guys next? In my class this morning, which was recorded, I have a link to the recording. You can ask Rachel for it if you want. Bill, remember when we were there this morning and I told you what was going to happen in the NASDAQ? We had a whole analysis based on what we were talking about this morning. Kind of messed with people a little bit. I'm going to do this. I'm going to show him the same thing with Tesla that we were looking at this morning. And let's see what his reaction is. Orion. Man, I have the old version of Orion on here. But we'll figure it out. Stand by 1 second. Oh, well, then I'll have to show you the other thing. Here, stand by. So, Bill, what we did, this is pursuant to our conversation in the car. So, Valentine, what do you think? This is the NASDAQ. These are signals on the NASDAQ on the chart, and they're all predictive, meaning in the upper right-hand corner, can you see that the next signal is coming in 12 days from now? The next white dot will be here in 12 days. Bill, do you see what happens here when we get to one of those signals most of the time? Okay. Now, every one of these signals is a first quarter lunar phase. A first quarter lunar phase is when the moon is half full. And you're going to say to yourself, why are you saying crazy things to me, Michael? And I will tell you, just listen. Just listen. All you need to know about the lunar phases right now is that they're predictive. I know the next signal dates for the next 1,000 years because of science and gravitational laws and gravitational constants and men like Kepler. I know when these dates are coming. It's publicly available knowledge. You can look up lunar phases on Google and it'll give you the signals for the next 100 years. The Q3s, these are Q3s, which is a third quarter, moon half empty. Now ask yourself, instead of why am I teaching you this? Why hasn't anyone else taught you this? And ask yourself, what happens when we get to the Q3s? This is the NASDAQ futures on a daily bar. There is a whole host of things that an entire industry and group of experts have not shared with you because they're greedy whores and they keep information to themselves. Okay. Now, what I noted in my class, and I have a recording of it, if you need it for proof, we record everything I say because there's so many genius things that I don't want to lose anything, was twofold. Number one, when we arrived at the predictive signal over time, there were substantial pushes up that occurred at those times, up to and including but this one on October 29th. Now, in your handouts section, there should be a book in your GoToWebinar handout section where I leave something called the histogram guidebook. Bill, we were talking about this on the phone yesterday. Remember pattern fives? Check it out. What I've noticed is there's a language in time that we can pay attention to. If you learn it, it becomes second nature. When we arrive at a signal that normally goes up, and that candle, the one to the left or the right, if any one of those three are brand new highs, the signal inverts, it goes backwards. And Valentine, can you see what happened here on October 29th? How this diagram mimics this diagram from 2016. And that signal right there is a first quarter lunar phase. This applies to our intraday stuff as well. I have it programmed in the software and it'll automatically appear and show an arrow there. But I wanted you to see that I'm not making this up. It's in a book that I've been giving people for 9 years. There's a language to time. Okay. That move usually signifies the end of the trend. It's a climax move based on a timing signal. It's a climax move based on a timing signal. And this is a 1 minute NQ chart from June of 2016. And you can see how it almost does the exact same thing here. You have big rush candles, impulse candles, high momentum, high close, high close, high close, high close, high close, high close. And then these little big wick candles with spinning bodies and it falls. It's sort of like the dumb money being pushed over the cliff. So on this candle, Bill, with your permission, I'm going to put a pattern 5. Okay. And now a funny thing starts to happen. And we talked about it in the class this morning. We traded the NQ live. I said, look what's happening. The moves down on the third quarter lunar phases are big and directional. And then, Valentine, you notice the moves up are kind of weak and tired and running out of steam. Like me at 50. You see how there's not much, no one is showing up when it's time. And so in the class this morning, Bill, and again, it's in the recording, I said to everyone, I feel like a big bear move is coming because this is another third quarter phase. And Pam Bondi said, aren't you all excited about the new stock market highs? That's what we should be celebrating. And I went, oh, they only say that stuff right before the crashes. And so I saw that pattern. And at the time we were here, we were up around 25,400. And I told everybody in the class, hang on, we're going down. But I saw it back here, and then I saw it in here. You can see that the banks are not showing up when it's time to push. They're staying in the back, and this is Goldman and JP and Jamie Dimon offloading their positions. Every time it came up, they're just pouring their longs out. So we had this. But I know how long the move lasts. It's in 12 days, but it's based on something ridiculous. Ridiculous. And it's been happening for a long time. It's not just recently. This is years and years and years of study. So to tell you that, I'm now going to pull another tool in that works very well on Tesla and Bitcoin. Let me see. I'll get rid of this, as well as Nvidia. I have an older version of it here. This is Nvidia. Nvidia, oh, have you met Lydia? Lydia the tattoo lady. 150, let's go $808 of stop on Nvidia. There we go. Okay, now, what tends to happen in Nvidia at the red signals? What tends to happen in Nvidia at the green signals? And can you guys see in the upper right corner when the next red and green signals are coming? We'll blow it up so we can see it better. That's what she said. 20, boom. Okay. Nvidia. Buy signal, buy signal, buy signal. And I'll just keep saying the word in my head. You guys know what I'm saying though. Look where the pivots are. Sell signal, sell signal. Sell signal, sell signal, sell signal, sell signal, sell signal. Everybody get it? Okay. We're going to look at Tesla next, but this is Nvidia. This is the guy. This is Jensen Huang holding up a computer that can calculate the diameter of Uranus and replaces 50,000 years of technology in the palm of his hand. Well, where are these signals coming from? An equally weird place, demonstrating the predictability of the market. Nothing more. Everywhere you see a green dot on this chart and a red dot on this chart is based on the distance of the moon to the Earth. Every time this happens, the software puts a green signal underneath price action. Every time this happens, the software puts a red signal over the price action. Valentine, are you with me? Even if it sounds crazy, are you with me in terms of the theory of it? Okay, this is called apogee perigee, astrophysics. We could get into why this happens and why people do what they do. I just want you to see in terms of options and buying and selling what to look for. Okay. Now, how do I know there might be a bubble? We are below the line the same way we were below the line over here. The same thing is happening again. And again, when it comes time to sell, the moves, this is an offloading procedure, usually with a stop run. You see right here how they come and they just prick the high, and that's a liquidity event. They have everybody convinced it's going higher and they're just selling into it. Okay, now we're going to look at the market that I pay very close attention to because I have very strong feelings about this guy. I hope it loads. I don't know why it's not loading. The same thing applies to Tesla. If you look at Tesla and Palantir and you apply those same signals to it, it's as or more accurate than what I just showed you. And for some reason, my NinjaTrader is not loading my Tesla data today. Let me see if I can reconnect it. My aftermarket data is a little janky. Let's see now. All right, here we go. Woo! Now there's Tesla. Let's put the dots out about one ATR value away. And I want you to tell me if this isn't one of the most closely guarded secrets you've ever seen. And I'm telling you the secret. I'm not hiding it from you. I want you to know it because it makes my case. That's the market you wake up every day, Valentine, and ask yourself, I wonder what will happen today. You with me? And what I'm going to tell you is that I can give you the dates for the next 100 years of movement. If you take this web page that I'm going to paste into the chat box, and Bill, you must be loving life right now because you already bought the program and now you're just sort of seeing this after the fact and feeling better about it. I'm going to publish this here. You guys see that link? Valentine, I'll paste the link into you. If you're watching from home, it's formulab.ch/earthview/pacalc.html. Here are the dates, blue and white, green and red, for 2026. Here are the dates for 2027. Here are the dates, buy and sell, for 2028. Go back and check for yourself that where I have these signals is where they are on the chart. But boy, oh boy, that sure looks like the answer key for Tesla. And I have customers making buku money laughing about how silly this is all the way to the bank. Okay? And so with all of that in mind, listening to the guy that is talking to you now, I want you to go that one extra step in your mind and say, hey, this man who's telling me this thing also told me how it works on the 1 minute NASDAQ chart, which I know is really hard. And the signals that he showed me were also predictable, hours, days in advance. And the signals that he showed me worked about as accurately as the moon stuff. So look at that, and then look at this. Signals on the right-hand side, signals on the right-hand side. Here are the times for the NQ for tomorrow, right now. I have the schedule on the right-hand side of the chart. I can look at it on a 1 minute chart. I can look at it on a 5 minute chart. And I can see those signals coming up. Here they are for tomorrow on a 5 minute chart. 7, 8:30, 9:50, 10:50, 1:10. 8:15, 9:10, 10:25, 12:10. And it's been happening day after day after day after day without your knowledge or permission. It keeps happening. They keep doing it. And nobody is saying anything about it but me. But I'm telling you, it's not very different than this, and I'm telling you where to get that. Time is the ultimate arbiter in markets. It is not price action. It's not candle patterns. It's not fair value gap or whatever the kids are talking about in the influencing videos on the tiki-talkies. It's always been time. 20 years we've been teaching this, using silly things that people make ridiculous amounts of money using, but it works, and no one else is teaching about it. This one will blow your mind, because this is supposed to be completely random. There's supposed to be no rhyme or reason to this at all. Same tool. And you tell me if you would have known when to sell your Bitcoin positions. Same dates I just gave you in the link. Bill Ackerman. This is a program called Orion from our Force package. That's Bitcoin. Explain that to me, somebody. Tell me how it's luck. Tell me I'm a fraud when I knew those signals were coming 100 years in advance. You can't, because it's real. You can't, because it's real. All right. If you want more information, I will make sure next webinar I have the trading view stuff ready to go. You can visit us at backtothefuturetrading.com. I'm really glad that you spent the time that you did with me here today. It is 5 o'clock. If you want to know more about the pricing or schedule a video demonstration, you can simply come to the website and click product demonstration, and one of our customers who uses the software, I'll meet with you and show you how it's working for them. The program that I demonstrated for you here today is the NinjaTrader variation of it, and that one is called Tachyon Warp. The one underneath that for Trading View is called Chronos. We do have an automated version of the program called Optimus. We named ours Optimus first before that idiot at Tesla named his stupid robots Optimus. And for those of you looking for an automated solution for the very first program, we do have one. Any questions before we wrap up for the evening? Yeah. Valentine, unfortunately, I can't. The ones that we have there are the ones that we have there. What I would recommend, let me see if I can get this for you. These are the 5-minute signals from Tesla. So, yeah, you would really do well with this software, I think, in my opinion. Yeah, you would have done well with that. And I can see the signals for tomorrow coming up. Let me just do this. I'll take a screenshot for you. And this will be through the 19th of next week. I think that's a good way to go. Give me a second to load up a screen share program, and I'll get that for you. Okay. Stand by. Share. Share link. Okay, so here's the screen share. This is Eastern time, New York time when you look at the signals. Eastern time, New York time. And these are the signals that have been happening at the forecasts. Whoop, let me get you that too for reference. This way I know you got it. Share link. Okay, copy, paste. Okay, you got it, my friend. Yeah, I don't have anything to hide here. There's this perception that I'm deceptive, or everything you associate with everybody in this crazy industry. I think I'm the only person who's able to explain how the stuff works in a way that's so compelling and simple and ridiculous that you have to go, whoa, whoa. You're telling me what now? And I'm not trying to show you this weird stuff, but man, the stuff nobody talks about, they don't talk about it for a reason. And if I can sit in a room with 20 people today and tell them I think we're going down, and we'll take all the shorts we can because of a moon was half full in the sky the other day, you've bought stuff that was sillier than this, that worked worse. So yeah, well, thank you for coming. May the wind be at your back. May the sun shine on your face. May the valleys rise up to meet you. May the mountains lay low before you. I wish you peace, health, prosperity, joy, friendship, companionship in an increasingly anxious, disparate, disconnected time where the algorithms want us fighting with each other and angry at each other. My wish for all of us this week, this month, this year is connection. Find communities to plug into, find users. We have a Discord, for example, of customers that are reliant on each other and sharing their positions with each other in real time that you're welcome to be a part of as a customer. If you're not in our Discord and you have the software, please reach out to Rachel and make sure she invites you to that so you can participate. But even locally, in your communities, in your neighborhoods, with your families, make an effort to put the phone down, stop looking at videos of cats and people hurdling their friends with giant catapults across the street, and bring your neighbor a bag of cookies or a cinnamon bun your wife might have made, a plant that was growing in your backyard. I think the way out of whatever we're in now is crossing fences and streets and shaking hands and saying hi. And if you're looking for that kind of a community, we have one here. We've built a whole support network of customers and users and tech service people to help you get all this sorted and squared out for yourself. I love you guys. I'll see you next week. Yeah, Valentine, let me give you an email address, the guy you want to talk to, and he'll meet with you privately. It's just the name Paul, Paul, at backtothefuturetrading.com. Paul at backtothefuturetrading.com. And he will take time out of his day to talk about all of that stuff with you and get you guys sorted and squared away. Remember, the market you trade isn't random. You can know when moves are likely to occur in the future. We've been doing it for the better part of 20 years now. And if you want to read more about their experiences, you can visit the Trust Pilot for Back to the Future Trading. We have a 4.5 or an excellent, And I really encourage you to go through and read every one of those reviews. They're real people. None of them were paid money to write what they wrote. They have credit card receipts. They didn't get free fruit baskets and edible arrangements to write what they wrote. There's 1-star reviews up there that I wish I could take off because they're ridiculous, but they're there and they kind of give credence to the other ones. So read those too and really get a sense if this is something that you really want to try. Because it's a commitment. It's hard to learn, and once you get it, though, the world's your oyster, in my opinion. Catch you guys later. Have a wonderful week, and I'll see you week after next. Take care.